Scientists are exploring new genetic engineering technology that could wipe out disease-carrying mosquitoes. This is remarkable stuff. The technology, which snips through genes to force a genetic change, could drive the Zika mosquito to extinction or make them unable to spread disease. It isn't a quick fix or a cheap one, but it could be faster than a vaccine. The question is, if you exterminate a species, what are the consequences of them disappearing from a food chain or from a particular habitat? Do even the nastiest creatures serve some positive purposes? Well, Kevin Esvelt is a gene driver researcher at MIT, the famous Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who's working on all this stuff. I spoke to him a short time ago in Boston via Skype video, and I asked him whether it is possible to get rid of Zika-carrying mosquitoes and whether that would be the right thing to do.
Number one, yes, it is possible. Not now, possibly within a year we will have the technology able to do it. Two, that's a much harder question that is really one for the half of the world's population that lives in areas where these mosquitoes live.
Okay, so on the face of it, you would say it's a no-brainer because you get rid of Zika, right? But what is the cost? Is there something in terms of the niche this mosquito occupies in a food chain that makes it more difficult?
Well, there's two species that spread Zika and dengue and chikungunya and yellow fever. Note that dengue and yellow fever between them kill roughly 60,000 people per year. Wow. So they're fairly nasty on their own, never mind the new plague of Zika. But these mosquitoes are, well, they span the globe, primarily in the tropical regions. But most of that region, they're invasive. So one of the vectors, Aedes aegypti, is native to the Mediterranean region. The other, Aedes albopictus, is native to Southeast Asia. And they're invasive everywhere else in the world. And that means that ecologically, they're very unlikely to be required. They're probably not doing anything important in the rest of the world. In fact, they're disruptive invaders. In Hawaii, for example, they are helping to drive native Hawaiian birds extinct by spreading bird parasites. So there are reasons why we might want to remove them from the Americas, from Australia, et cetera, even apart from the fact that they spread diseases to humans. Ecologically speaking, that would be a good thing to do. The challenge is, can we do that without also getting rid of them in Eurasia and Northern Africa? That's a different story.
And what is the difference? Am I to take from that the inference that they actually do some good or serve some better purpose in Eurasia and Northern Africa?
Only that they might. And now, good from the perspective of humans, very unlikely. It's possible that they pollinate some flowers. It's very unlikely that those flowers are not pollinated by anything else. There haven't been a lot of studies looking at what exactly do mosquitoes do? What other species depend on them? Clearly, other species eat them, either in larval form or in adult form. So bats eat the adult forms. But when people have looked at it, specifically at the species that spread human diseases, they find, yes, okay, there are mosquitoes in the stomachs of bats, but the bats eat a lot of different kinds of mosquitoes. There are 3,500 species of mosquitoes in the world, and only a dozen or so are any good at spreading human disease. So 12 or so out of 3,500. Is the ecosystem going to notice? We don't know. Probably not, but we don't know for sure. So how much are you willing to bet? Are you willing to risk it in exchange for getting rid of these diseases?
That's the big question, isn't it? How much are you willing to bet? Because on the face of it, actually, you would be willing to bet a reasonable amount to eradicate dengue and Zika and all of those things. But actually, if for some reason they're contributing something we don't know about, the consequences could be disastrous.
I am exceedingly doubtful that it could ever be disastrous, simply because we have done some studies of this. And what's more, there have been attempts to locally suppress populations of mosquitoes. So there's this British company, Oxitec, which has been releasing sterile male mosquitoes of these Aedes aegypti, the vector that spreads Zika, and they can suppress populations by 90% or so in a local area. It's fairly expensive. They need to do it continual releases. So you have to keep on releasing tens or hundreds of thousands of sterile male mosquitoes in order to keep the population down. But it works. And so then can we use that data as, in essence, a field trial? Because you can look at those ecosystems and say, is it different with most of the mosquitoes gone? If not,